Very shortly I'm going to have Kamahl on with us here talking about his life, the man behind the voice. But I'm going to put something very special on for him, which he probably doesn't know I've got.
There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far over land and sea. If I could have the world the way I wanted, oh, what a day tomorrow would be.
Alive 90.5, the Hypnic Show on a Tuesday morning. Welcome to all the listeners out there. It's a special program today for the next hour or so. I want to introduce you a true icon in Australia and overseas. He's sold over 23 million records and counting. He's recorded over 40 albums over the years, received and earned 100 gold records and platinum records in his time. He's been in the entertainment industry for about 60 years and he's had so many awards over those years. He's performed in London Palladium, Carnegie Hall, Sydney Opera House. He's been a TV and film star over so many years and so many appearances. He's our very own Kamahl, and the world, of course, owns Kamahl, and he's performed all around the world. Welcome to Alive 90.5.
Thank you, Dom.
How are you?
Actually, better for seeing you. And you playing that track, Smile, brings back unbelievable memories from 1977 in California. And when I met Artie Butler, who was the arranger and producer, if you don't know the name Artie Butler, he has more gold records than anybody else I know. He produced so many songs, including What a Wonderful Folk by Louis Armstrong. And when I met him, we talked about what we're going to do. And so he started playing his riff for Smile, the way he played it. And I felt very uncomfortable because I remember Nat King Cole singing it, and I wanted to sing it his way. And he started playing the riff, and I said, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. You know what he said? He says, don't shit here.
Now, do you know why I played Nature Boy for you?
Because of Nat King Cole.
That's right. And you apparently you've told me that he was a bit of you appreciated him so much as a singer.
In fact, I came here 70 years ago. 70 years ago. And I did not like Western music at all because my father was had a Indian music school. He was head of it, and he taught me that Indian music is God's music, and the white man's music, it's all written, it has no soul, and all of those things. So I believed him, like sons believe their fathers. So when I came here, I didn't like the Western music. So even though I listened to get acclimatized to the Western music, this is the song, it was the words, Nature Boy, and the greatest thing you ever learn is to love and be loved in return. It's a lesson I still treasure now. The greatest thing you ever learn is to love and be loved in return. And so I started listening to Nat King Cole for the next 6 years, till I heard a voice on the radio singing something, and I thought this couldn't be human because it sounded so big. I thought it must be a bear or something, lion or something like that. It turned out his name was Paul Robeson. And would you believe I met Paul Robeson and Nat King Cole 1958 and 59. Oh no, 1958 and 1960. Paul Robeson came to Australia in 1960 and came to Adelaide, and Nat King Cole visited Adelaide in 1958. So, I met them, and after I met Nat King Cole, even before he could say anything, I sang Nature Boy to him. And he had no escape. And then all he could tell me was, "Do you write?" That's what he said. I didn't realize he anticipated how music would go because it was the people who could write, like the Beatles and everybody who sang their own songs. And he anticipated that. But his manager saw the disappointment in my face, and he said, "Oh, you got something there, keep it up."
I was going to say, Kamahl, that we want to hear a little bit about the man behind the voice. So a little bit about your childhood. Good, bad, different?
No, I was born in Kuala Lumpur in 1934, November 13th, the day before King Charles's birthday is November 14th. Mine is the day before. And, and then soon after the Japanese regime, and those were sort of kind of, there was no education, and I remember I had a cow, we had a cow that I took to pasture in the late morning, and I'd come back in the afternoon. I was coming home one day, and there was a Japanese officer coming in the opposite direction, bearing in mind that during those days they were like heads chopped off and stuck on poles here, there, and everywhere in Kuala Lumpur. And next thing, he crossed over to my side, and he put his hand on his hip, and I saw something silver flash, and I thought it was his sword. He's going to take my head off like the other heads. Instead, he gave me a block of bar of chocolate. and I grabbed it and ran and left the car. And so those were the unforgivable memories, and it's just bizarre.
So what got you into the entertainment industry? Where did it all start?
No, when I came here in 1953, more than anything else, I want to assimilate, but I didn't know how. And we were all together in a boarding house called St. Anton's in Adelaide. There were about 8 or 9 of us Asian students together, and there was the local milk bar. There was a lovely family, the Morecambes, and they on weekends they would invite all of us to have a supper or something, especially Saturdays and Sundays. And always somebody would get up and sing something or tell a story, and I would sit in the corner and just envy anybody who had the confidence to get up and do whatever. So it took me nearly 6 months to learn this song, Nature Boy, and eventually go up to Mrs. Morecambe one day, and I said, Mrs. Morecambe, I'd like to sing. He said, you can sing? I said, I don't know, I'm going to try. He said, what do you want me to do? Can you turn the lights off? Because I was just terrified of facing the audience, so I thought if it was dark, they wouldn't know who was singing. So I sang Nature Boy. At the end of it, there was a reasonable response, and somebody said, you sound, it sounded a little bit like Nat King Cole. And to me, that was just the encouragement I needed. From then on, I listened to Nat King Cole for the next 6 years, till I heard Robeson. And
I believe that the story of Rupert Murdoch is a big story for you.
Yeah, in 1958, at a theater, not a theater, it was a restaurant called the Lido. It was a fashionable restaurant. Occasionally they had entertainers, some from overseas, including Laurie Desmond. Laurie Desmond was a big star then, and I would go there and sing when they didn't have anybody, and not get any pay, no pay, just coffee and sandwiches maybe. And one evening this lady came up to me and said, do you remember me? I had no idea who she was. She was quite beautiful. And she said, oh, you came to my department store where I was working, you got your school uniform and things like that. I had no recollection of meeting anybody like that. It turned out she was the wife of Rupert Murdoch. Her name was Patricia. Her maiden name was Patricia Booker, but Patricia Murdoch. And I was taken to the table, and there were about a dozen of them. And later that evening, near midnight, I asked, they said, where do you live? We'll drop you. I said, and before that, they were going to some other place, to another club where they had about 30 or 40 people, could have been even more, staff from the News Limited. It was their Christmas party. And so this guy, who turned out to be Rupert Murdoch, he said, oh, can you sing one of the songs you just sang? So I sang a song, and he ran across the room, and the people reacted very generously. He ran across the room, grabbed my hand, and put a piece of paper in my hand. I opened it eventually, and there it was a 10-pound note. I was lucky if I got 10 shillings those days. And that was the start. And that evening, about 1 o'clock in the morning, went back to his place, and he cooked a juicy steak. And I was a vegetarian, and don't ask me how.
You loved steak that night, didn't you?
Yeah, and I didn't eat the piece of steak, and don't ask me what I did with it. But I didn't eat it. So I had no idea who he was. 6 months later, 1959, I see an article in the newspaper. This guy's name is Rupert Murdoch, has just bought a television station. So on the 16th of October, 1959, I was on television in Adelaide singing 2 songs, Autumn Leaves and Handful of Stars.
And then along came your first album, Voice to Remember.
Much later, 1967, yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about the feature film? that you're involved in, the journey out of darkness you're involved in?
Yeah, you can do that. Now, would you rather me tell you that, or would you rather still keep to the Murdoch story?
Keep to the Murdoch
because
it's your show.
Okay, because after 1959, must have been a year or 2 years after the Murdochs left to come to Sydney. And in 1962, Rupert, in one of his regular visits to Adelaide, he said, "You better come to Sydney." I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified of coming to Sydney. And he said, no, you'll make it big there. So anyway, without even getting my consent, he organized for me to come to the Hotel Australia, which used to be in Castlereagh Street. And I was there for 6 weeks, every night, 6 nights a week. And he, Rupert and Pat and some of his friends would come every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And on the final night, I went to thank them for their irrational generosity. That's a word I didn't know of a few weeks ago. For their irrational generosity. And with that, I said goodbye. As I was about to leave, Rupert grabbed me a shirt sleeve and he said, "Where do you think you're going?" I said, "I'm going back to Adelaide, of course." He said, "No, you're not. You're going to stay here. You'll be a big star." I didn't believe a word of it. So out of, I was I didn't know what to say. I said, "Now, where am I going to stay?" He said, "Oh, stay with us." So I stayed with Rupert Murdoch and Pat Murdoch for the next 3 years, from 62, 63, 64, and part of 65.
Wow, that is amazing. And so from there, was the feature film first, or was the album first in regards to the next album?
No, both, actually, because the 1967, I got a record company, Phillips, and the Arthur Major was a gentleman, and he was into classical music. He wanted me to sing classical songs because, in fact, in 1966, believe it or not, I was in the operatic competition called Sun Aria, and I sang Ella Jemima Mo from the opera Don Carlos, and the Death of Boris from Boris Godunov. I mean, can you imagine that? From singing like Nat King Cole and singing operatic arias. But I didn't disgrace myself. I think I got I became third. But it was the following year, Arthur Major insisted I sing some classical songs, but I didn't want to. But I did an album called A Voice to Remember, and there were songs where I really had to sing like the Lord's Prayer and something else. So that's how it started, and eventually I got to do what I wanted to do, which was popular songs. Yeah.
Before we go on, it's fair to me to mention to the listeners a few of your achievements, because I know you won't, so I'm going to. In 2005 is the judge on X Factor. 2007, Chases Against War and everything. 2008, returned to his school choir. I'll talk to you a bit about that later. And biggest hits, Elephant Song. Elephant Song.
1975.
That's right, and Sounds of Goodbye. And tell me a story about that one.
No, about the Elephant Song.
Yeah, very interesting.
Only 2 weeks ago, after all these years, it is on Wikipedia, you can look it up. Elephant Song in Sweden,
number one.
It's the number one song of all time. Yeah. Above ABBA or anybody. I can't believe it. Because the Elephant Song was actually done by the Dutch company. Prince Bernhard, the husband of Queen Juliana, was the head of the World Wildlife Fund, and they wanted a song to promote wildlife. And they came up with a song called not the Elephant Song, something else. Anyway, so when they sent it to me, I didn't like the title. I said, "No, I'm not interested." They said, "Why?" I said, "It's Dutch English." I said, "If it is English, I will." No, it was called The Elephant's Plea, Plea. I didn't like the title, so I said I would be happy to do it if it's English. So I met a man called Roger Waters. In fact, it was through yeah, anyway, Roger Waters, he, rewrote it as into English, and I heard the song the night before. I learned the song the night before, and the following morning I had to go to Heathrow, got off the plane, and then got to Holland and went straight to the studio, and we rehearsed it. Everything was fine. And then I had a 20-minute break, or maybe half an hour, and then got up to sing. I opened my mouth, no sound whatsoever.
I've heard the story before from someone else.
Total panic. I nearly turned white, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And so next thing, they rushed me to the ear, nose, and throat hospital. And I don't know what they gave me, an injection or something. And apparently I slept for nearly 5 hours. When I got up and I got to the mic and sang it gently, because the Elephant song is fairly big, I sang it, with not the full throttle, but halfway. And I said, okay, let me do it again. They said, no, that's it. I argued with them. They said, no, that's it. We're not doing it again. And half the record company thought it would be an embarrassment because of the words that were in it, and then the other half thought it would be a big hit, and within 3 weeks it was number one, and number one for the next 5 or 6 weeks.
And it was number one in a lot of countries around the world, even though over here, if I remember, it didn't make number one.
No. In this country, it never got played. Never got played. That's the irony of it. It never got played as a track. Occasionally, people like yourself might have played it, but generally the stations that played the top 40 never played it. And in Germany, they said, no, we have to do it in German. So I sang it in German. It was called Wo die Freude wohnt, if you understand what German, where wise men gather or something like that. And it was a disaster. Absolute disaster. But in fact, in Germany, it could have been even bigger because Roger Whittaker was having quite a good run there. And I could have had even a bigger success in Germany, but I never got the chance.
Now, before we go on, a few more awards, because I want to tell the listeners about it. 1994 received Members of Australia Award. In 2004, the Australian Centenary Medals Award. In 1998, Father of the Year Award. In 2000, this goes on and on. This is how big you are, Kamahl. You just don't want to tell the people everything about yourself. Received another honour, which was included as one of the best entertainers in Australia on the 20th century, or around the world actually. And in that award, some of the entertainers there were people like Kylie Minogue, Dame Joan Sutherland, Jack Thompson, Graham Kennedy. Do you agree with all this?
Well, I mean, it's only an opinion,
Well, it's written in black and white, so it can't be true.
No, it was, I know, there's a beautiful picture with all of us in it, and yeah, it's flattering, but I don't believe it,
But the one, I think this is really good, this is very important. Over the years, he's won Mo Awards, 3 of those, and that's an important award because they're judged by your peers.
Yeah, you know what?
3 of those.
Okay, in fact, I didn't get the 4th one because they changed the rules. They actually changed the rules so that I couldn't win another Mo. I swear to you. I heard that it could be false, but they changed the rules of the Mo Award, so I couldn't win anymore.
There you go. So that's what they had to do to keep Kamahl off the Wikipedia list. That's
well, anyway.
But now let's turn to a little bit of your acting and TV.
No, wait a minute. Why not play something? Yeah. Something to give the listeners a break. Play anything, not necessarily mine. Play one of your tracks.
No, that's all right.
No. Play one of your tracks.
Okay.
Well, or play a commercial if you want to.
Yeah, okay. Let's do a commercial. This is Alive 90.5, your sound, your community, and of course we've got live on Alive 90.5, Kamahl.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. And in my heart of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. living in the world agree. There will be an answer, let it be. Although they may depart, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. When the night is clouded, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be.
Alive 90.5, the Hit Mix Show, top hits and classic dance tracks. And we've got Kamahl on live with us right here in the studio. Welcome back, Kamahl.
Thank you.
That's your version of Let It Be, and a really good version, and the words are amazing.
Well, I mean, you know, I never ever thought I would ever sing a Beatles song, you know, because I was a Nat King Cole fan, and, you know, yeah. I never thought, in those days, I never thought I would ever sort of sing a Beatles song, because it was so different from my style of performing, but I'm so glad I did.
Now, I know there's a couple of things that are really important to you in life, and let's open up the questions. One, about your marriage. You might want to talk about your marriage.
Yeah. No, that's all right, yeah.
But I will ask, because all you can do is say no.
Yeah.
And Australian citizenship.
Absolutely.
And also we might even get into the yes and no vote. That's an
Absolutely,
interesting one.
absolutely. Yeah. All of them are. I mean, as for the marriage, in fact, I met my wife in 1966. That was the year when I thought I was going to be deported. In fact, they tried to deport me in 1958, 1960, 62, 64, and eventually 66. I was summoned to the immigration office, and the lady sitting opposite me, she didn't look the friendliest type at all. You know, she looked pretty fierce. And she took out a file and said, "You've been here since 1953. What have you to say for yourself?" I said, "Not much." She said, "I can see that." And with that, she rambled on about other things. And then I realized, she said, I found out later she had to repeat herself 3 times, saying that the government has offered me permanent resident status. I couldn't believe it. And all of a sudden, this very ordinary woman looked to me as beautiful as Ingrid Bergman.
Bergman.
And so I rushed out and called a friend of mine who was then the registrar of the Crown Street Women's Hospital. His name is, he's no longer with us, Dr. Victor Panicott. He was the captain of the hockey team, the Australian university hockey team in 1955, playing against New Zealand. And I played hockey for Australia against New Zealand, but we lost. But anyway, so he was the registrar of the Crown Street Women's Hospital, where there was a lady called Sahodra Tikaram, and she's a nurse there, and she was engaged to be married. But anyway, we became friends, and so out of the blue, because I couldn't speak to Victor, I said, could I speak to Sister Tikaram? She came on the phone. So I said, how are you? I said, what are you going to do for your rest of your life? Because knowing full well she was still going to be married to somebody else. I said, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? She said, why? I said, you want to get married? She said, when? So we were married 10 days later.
No problem. She just said yes.
She said yes. She shouldn't have. But anyway, so we married, and we had 2 children, and and in fact 2 years ago, she decided she had enough of me. So we are at the moment slightly estranged wife and life, but we're still communicating. But more importantly, in 1967, I became an Australian citizen, and as such, I
know how you feel.
Yeah, and as such, this country has given so much to me, and I hope I have reciprocated in whatever way I can. And what is even amazing, this is the 50th anniversary of the Opera House, and I did my first show there on the 21st of November, 1973. And the organizers have invited me to be part of their 50-year celebration. On the 1st of October, I'm going to be doing something. And again, on the 21st of October, I'll be singing at the Dame Joan Sutherland Opera Theatre. In fact, I'm going to be singing 4 times in 2 hours.
Amazing.
On the afternoon of the 21st of October. That's by invitation only, sadly. But anyway, so what else do you want to know?
No, I knew you were really impressed to be a citizen. So how about, I know that there's a particular song you love in regards to...
Okay, so in fact, now eventually, for the 1988, I wanted to say my thank you to Australia and recorded a couple of songs.
That's right.
And one of them, which is very, very dear to me, is called My Home, written by Jackie Trent and Tony Hatch, an English couple, singing, writing a song for me called My Home.
Kamahl with this special song, My Home. Welcome, everyone. Special guest today, Kamahl.
This is my home. This is my country. This is the land I've grown to love. My life began across the ocean, but I belong here, and though I roam, I say Australia, you are my home. I'll always love and honor the place where I was born. It
song, My Home. Kamahl, in 1967, what special thing happened to you?
Well, I became an Australian citizen, and I got very emotional and wanted to do something about being an Australian, but it took me a few more years to get that song written by Jackie Trent and Tony Hatch. And also I found, and that's for the FBAs, the foreign-born Australians. There's also another one I did for the FDAs, the Fair Dinkum Aussies. You want to hear what I said there? Aussie. Something I said for the Fair Dinkum Aussies. You want to hear that? Yes?
Yes.
What is Australia to you? What is Australia to you? Okay.
Well, it's basically my home, but I'd say it's my second home.
Okay, if you ask me what is Australia to me?
What is Australia to you, Kamahl?
To begin at the beginning, it's the house I live in, my neighbors down the street, the proud and smiling faces of the people that I meet, the children of the playground and Christmas in the sun, the g'day and the handshake. That's Australia to me. The town I live in, the friends that I have found, the people who just came here from nations all around, those who built this country, the air of feeling free and the right to speak your own mind. That's Australia to me. Words of Banjo Patterson, McCullough and Henry Lawson, the deeds of Donald Bradman, Dick Costello and Dame Joan, there's Smithy and Ben Lexon, achievers without peers, and the dreaming of a people who've been here a million years. This land I live in, the goodness everywhere, a place of love and beauty with Christ to all to everywhere. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm fumbling.
No,
so I love this sunburned country, so vital, young and free, with a promise for tomorrow. That's Australia to me. That's it.
And the yes and no vote, without getting too political, the answer is?
I was advocating no because I saw a commercial, and it had John Farnham's and there was a line in there, and I flippantly I said no, and all of a sudden I'm being I'm getting flack from one side of it. But yesterday I went to the museum, and I came away with a book called Unsettled, which told the story of the indigenous people here. And I have since then thought long about it, but I'm not sure that I want to say no. In fact, I'm going to say yes.
That's what it's all about. It's all about, having your say and whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I had no idea. I had no idea whatsoever when I made the movie in 1967. The movie was called Journey Out of Darkness. I played the part of an Aboriginal captive as a prisoner. And never thinking that was the same year when the First Nations people were recognized as human beings. Till then, they were not recognized as human beings. Did you know that?
I did.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I knew there was problems, but I didn't know it was as black and white as that. They were part of the flora and fauna. I mean, I find that it's gut-wrenching. I mean, how would you be to be a descendant of the group of people that were non-human? They were considered non-human. So I bought this book called Unsettled. So I have gone through a few pages. It's gut-wrenching. It's really gut-wrenching.
And when you think about it, so many things like this are the same overseas, and people don't really realize it. But I tend to agree with you. Unless you really know the background of the stories, you really can't make decisions on it.
I mean, the thing is, the black and white in America. I mean, whoever thought a black man would become president? So, dream on. I mean, nothing is impossible. And now, maybe one day we'll have a First Nations people as Prime Minister of Australia.
Now, we're getting down to the end, so I can't get you to talk to me about all this, but we were going to discuss so many people you knew. Don Bradman, Rupert Murdoch, Bob Hope, Obama. It goes on and on, but we can't get to that.
Maybe another day.
Maybe another day. But there is one question I do ask every one of my guests on my show, which you don't know about. Now picture yourself on a bench, in a beautiful bench, overlooking the water, trees, and you're really enjoying it. And you're allowed for 1 hour to interview or talk to anybody alive or dead. Who would it be and why for you?
Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore is the greatest Indian poet, playwright, musician of all time. Rabindranath Tagore.
And that's that. And when was he born? What year was?
Oh, he died about maybe 50 years ago. He was the one who wrote the national anthem for India and Sri Lanka, and he's a poet, playwright.
That's where the importance is here for you.
Pardon?
That's where the importance is here for you.
Yeah.
In regards to talking to him.
I mean, he has written so many things, and he Unending Love. He wrote a poem called Unending Love, and I wish I could remember it to share it with you. It is possibly Audrey Hepburn's most favorite poem, Unending Love.
Kamahl, it's been so interesting speaking to you. I could have spoken to you for another hour or so. It's just too short, because we've got to go at about 10 to. So this is being alive 90.5. I want to thank you very, very much for your time today.
No, thank you, Dom.
Dear daughter, I tiptoed into your room tonight and I looked down at you smiling in your sleep. You were so lovely. My heart nearly broke, and I thought, how very much like Sleeping Beauty a little girl is. When I tuck you in, I never know how old you'll be when you wake. One evening you crawl into your dad's lap and throw your arms around his neck, and the next morning you may be much too grown up for that sort of thing. You're so quickly approaching the awkward age. Too young to drive the car, yet too old to be carried into the house, half asleep on Daddy's shoulder. I have a secret I never told you, Sleeping Beauty. You are going on an exciting trip. You will travel from yesterday all the way to tomorrow. It is a rapid journey, and you will travel light, leaving behind your measles, mumps, freckles, bumps, bubblegum, and me. I promise not to feel hurt when you discover the world is more interesting than your dad's lap. Yesterday you were blue-jeaned and pigtailed, the neighborhood's best tree climber. Tomorrow you'll be in satin, lace, and ponytails, and you will view the world from a loftier perch. A pair of high-heel shoes. Yesterday you could mend your doll's broken leg with a hug. Tomorrow you'll be able to break a boy's heart with a kiss. Yesterday you could get lost 1 aisle away from me in the supermarket. Now I have to worry about losing you down another aisle to some strange young man. Just at the point where your growing pains stop, mine begin. Yesterday, you were a pain in the neck when you were around. Tomorrow, you'll be an ache in the heart when you're not. Tomorrow, you will lay aside your skipping rope to tie up the telephone line, and the little boy who used to push you in the mud will fight to sit out a dance with you. The clock downstairs is counting the minutes for you. The sky upstairs is saving its brightest stars, and the sun is waiting with its shiniest day.